Welcome to Recap King. In this video, we will explain Kills on Wheels. This film tells the story of people with disabilities who turn out to be terrible gangsters. Can they be stopped? Let's find out in Kills on Wheels. Kills on Wheels tells the story of Rupasov, a highly feared assassin in his time, and a young man named Zoli. Both are persons with disabilities. As a result of his injuries, Rupasov has used a wheelchair for the past 3 years. Meanwhile, Zoli had to use a wheelchair all his life because he was born with a disability. Zoli now lives in a dormitory with a friend named Adam. In his spare time, Zoli likes to draw comics, and his work is quite good. One day, Zoli and Adam were playing with fire extinguishers in a small alley near their dorm. Then came Rupasov, who looked annoyed with their ridiculous behavior and attacked Zoli. Fights are unavoidable, but then, Rupasov suddenly realized that he had gone a bit too far towards Zoli and Adam. The man then apologized and invited the two young men to his party. Zoli and Adam seemed to be having fun at the party. Rupasov then offers Zoli and Adam jobs as assassins and promises worldly pleasures as they get at the party today. A few days later, Zoli was in the hospital for surgery, but Zoli refused because the operation was financed by his father, who had abandoned him since birth after finding out that he was born with a disability. The scene switches to Rupasov, who gets a mission from his boss. Rupasov then waited for his target in a deserted parking lot area. A car came and stopped near him. Several men got out of the car and approached him. One of them threatened Rupasov with a knife and plunged the sharp object into his thigh, but he looked normal. Rupasov said he had been unable to feel anything in his legs since sitting in a wheelchair, which provoked scornful grins from his targets. Then one of them kicked Rupasov. He then coughed and took a plastic bag out of his pocket. It turned out that there was a gun in the plastic that he used to shoot his targets one by one until all of them died. After Rupasov managed to kill his targets, an ambulance arrived at the scene. A female medic named Zita treats a wound on Rupasov's thigh. The two turned out to know each other. Rupasov had feelings for her and wanted to take her to a movie after work, but Zita refuses his invitation and tells him that she is engaged. Rupasov was devastated that the woman he loved so much had already belonged to someone else. He even tried to kill himself by throwing himself off the steps of the pedestrian bridge, but fate had not allowed him to leave this world. Rupasov came to his senses and resumed his life. The scene switches when Rupasov receives a payment from his boss, who says he must keep his job secret and not cooperate with other people. In fact, all this time, Rupasov was often assisted by Zoli and Adam. A few days later, Rupasov met Zoli while he was undergoing therapy on his leg in the hospital. Rupasov told him not to help him anymore and broke off their cooperation. But Zoli refused and said he would still cooperate with him. Zoli then insisted that he would not accept the money his father gave him, even though his mother had persuaded him repeatedly. After he finished training his legs, Rupasov waited for Zita in front of the hospital. He wanted to gift a bunch of roses to the woman he loves, but was discouraged after seeing Zita with her fiancé. After that, Rupasov got a job to kill an official. He devised a ploy to kill the official while having lunch at a restaurant located on the side of the highway. Rupasov waited on the other side of the road while Zoli and Adam secured the situation on opposite sides to make it easier for him to carry out his action. With the help of a flock of pigeons and a crowd of passing people, Rupasov managed to complete his mission without arousing people's suspicions on him. While crossing the street, the official suddenly collapsed, and his body was covered in blood. His bodyguards were busy looking for the shooter, but no one would suspect 3 disabled men in wheelchairs. The 3 immediately left the scene. Rupasov later met Zita while boarding a bus. She gave Rupasov an invitation card to attend her wedding, but unbeknownst to Rupasov, the boss was watching his actions. After they met, his boss was furious at him for breaking their rules and kicked him until he fell to the ground. The boss gave him one chance to make amends. This time, Rupasov got on a mission to kill Zoli and Adam. The next day, Rupasov took his 2 friends to go fishing in a lake. Despite having difficulty passing through the grasslands to get to their destination, the trio finally arrived at the lake and started fishing. Adam looked overjoyed when the bait was eaten and asked for help pulling the line. Instead of helping Adam, Rupasov pushed him into the lake. After that, Rupasov throws Zoli into the water and intends to leave them. But Rupasov did not have the heart to let his comrades drown. Finally, he plunged into the lake to save Zoli and Adam. After they all returned to the pier, Rupasov reasoned that it was a prank. For the first time, he failed to complete the mission assigned to him. After returning from the lake, Rupasov invited his friends to party at his house. He then told them about Zita and how much he loved her. Rupasov's friends wanted to help him get Zita back. They also made plans. The next day, 3 of Rupasov's girlfriends carried the man and leaned him against a vehicle, implying that he could stand and no longer needed to use a wheelchair. Rupasov waits for Zita to come home from the hospital, but after waiting for hours, it turns out that Zita is on leave from work. Their plan failed miserably. A few days later, Rupasov gets a mission from his boss to kill a drug dealer. The boss said he would get paid double. Rupasov accepted the mission on the condition that his current job was his last and he would no longer accept any other job offers. The boss agreed. Rupasov and his two companions headed for the target's house. He had Zoli and Adam wait in the car as he carried out his stunt. The guards searched Rupasov before entering the house, although they did not find anything suspicious, such as a gun and sharp objects. Thinking it was safe, the guards took him to meet their boss in the house. When he was in the house and met the drug dealer, he began to carry out his actions. He took a gun hidden in the foam cushions of the wheelchair and opened fire on the guards inside the house, but missed his target. Instead of running away, the target took his gun and engaged in a shootout with Rupasov. But Rupasov is more experienced with weapons because of his profession as a hitman, even though his body is no longer perfect. With his body covered in wounds and clothes stained with blood, he finally managed to kill everyone and complete his mission, then rushed to escape from the scene. He heard the police car siren wailing in the distance when he reached the gate. He tried to open the locked gate with difficulty but couldn't. Zoli and Adam, who were in the car, looked panicked. Zoli then took the initiative to arrest the police car, while Adam helped Rupasov out of the house. The three of them managed to escape. After that, Rupasov met his boss to collect payment for his work. Unusually, the boss took Rupasov for a drive somewhere. The two of them arrived at an empty warehouse. Rupasov sensed that something was wrong with his boss's actions this time because there was a hanging rope. It turned out that his boss was aware of Rupasov's trick. He knows that his comrades are still alive. His boss was furious and disappointed in him because he had betrayed his trust. He forced the reins around Rupasov's neck, then took his wheelchair out and left the hitman alone. Rupasov tried desperately to loosen the leash around his neck while holding the toes of his shoes to keep himself from suffocating. He tried to reach his wheelchair, which was not too far from his reach, but all efforts are still to no avail. After almost giving up because his efforts were in vain, the rope knot wrapped around his neck finally loosened a bit. He removed the rope from his head and managed to survive. Arriving home, Rupasov immediately gathered his comrades, plotting revenge on the boss who had gone too far. Several days passed. Rupasov attended Zita's wedding accompanied by Zoli and Adam. He looked dapper in a white coat and neatly tied hair. Rupasov even took the time to show off his singing skills, which earned praise from many people, including Zita. She burst into tears. But then, Rupasov suddenly kissed Zita, and her husband burned with jealousy. After the party was over, Zita's husband and his friends beat up Rupasov for what he had done to his wife. Zoli comes to help Rupasov. He threatened Zita's husband with a gun, then took Rupasov away from there. The next few days, Rupasov launched his revenge against the boss. He and Zoli visit his boss' safe house, coming in blatantly, while Adam lurks from outside. Rupasov said that he wanted to collect the wages from the previous mission that the boss had not paid, but his boss shied away from paying his wages and threatened him that he would release his dogs to attack Rupasov and Zoli. Rupasov then pulled out his gun and fired at the fire extinguisher on the table near his boss. The dogs were frantically running outside. The boss then quickly attacked him until the gun fell. He repeatedly stabbed Rupasov with a knife. Zoli manages to get Rupasov's gun, but he doesn't help his partner and lets the boss kill him to death. Zoli then kills the boss. He took all the money belonging to the boss from the safe, which he would later use for the cost of his leg surgery. And the story of the wheelchair killer came to an end. It turns out that the entire incident involving Rupasov so far is just a fictional story from a comic book by Zoli. He created an imaginary character named Rupasov, who has the appearance of his father and a person with a disability like himself. Zoli never met his father in his entire life. He only keeps a photo of his father, who is similar to Rupasov, and was inspired to make a comic involving his father and himself. Unexpectedly, the comic turned out to be loved by many people and was successfully glimpsed by publishers to great success. Zoli also sent a copy of Rupasov's comic to his father as a keepsake. The film ends.